And now uh, the next player that I want to talk about, another first ballot Hall of Famer, Tim Duncan, one of the most underrated players of all time.
You better than Duncan?
No, Tim Duncan's the greatest power forward ever.
I really try to stay away from the comparison part, Jay, but I would say this, unquestionably a top 10 player of all time.
How many times have you seen somebody get a triple-double in Game 6 in the deciding game to win the championship?
I mean, in my opinion, he's top 10, barely outside the top 5. For me, he's number 6 of all time. I mean, just going through this guy's accolades. I mean, 15 times All-Star. He's like 2000 All-Star MVP. He's been MVP twice in 2001, 2002. Now, that was like during the Shaq and Kobe era. And, I mean, the reason why is because, like, Shaq and Kobe canceled each other out. Like, because they were so good with each other. And, Tim Duncan was more of by himself. Now, you can make the argument that, hey, what about Dave Robinson? Well, the thing is, Dave Robinson was aging, like, really quick. Like, as Tim Duncan rose up, Robinson was, like, kind of breaking down. 5-time world champion, 3-time finals MVP, 1998. It was against the Knicks. 2002. Against the Nets. In 2004, it was against the Pistons. I mean, Tim Duncan is the best power forward ever graced the court. Like, it's crazy what he's done. 10-time All NBA, first team, second team 3 times, third team twice. I mean, Tim Duncan was like a MVP candidate in his rookie year. Like, that is how good Tim Duncan was as a rookie. Now, he doesn't really have like a lot of like the stats to like back up the claims for like all times compared to like other power forwards. Like, for example, like Karl Malone has like way better stats than him. Charles Barkley, same thing, has way better stats than him. I still take Tim Duncan over all of them. I mean, he's one of the most underrated like defenders. Well, I wouldn't say underrated because he's kind of like how Scottie Pippen was. Like, when you think of Scottie Pippen, you think of the best small forward defender of all time. And when you think of Tim Duncan, wouldn't you put the same reputation towards Tim Duncan as well? Because people are surprised that Scottie never won a Defensive Player of the Year. And you can also make the case that Tim Duncan should have won Defensive Player of the Year as well. But they kept on giving the Defensive Player of the Years to Bruce Bowen. Now, say what you will about Bruce Bowen. He was a great defender, but he was like super dirty. And also, like, when you have Tim Duncan in the back who's just as elite on defense, like, you would have nothing to worry about. I mean, Tim Duncan has all NBA defense like 8 times. Like, Tim Duncan was elite on defense every year, like, including his years when he was like breaking down too as a player. Like, he wasn't the same player like in 2016, but he was still pretty elite in defense as well. Like, he made the most of what he could in his career, and I mean, he allowed Popovich to become, Popovich. Now, people want to hold the argument that, you can, of course, you're going to have a great career because you have the greatest coach of all time. Tim Duncan made Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich was a nobody when he first came on the Spurs. He came on the Spurs. Spurs tanked. Next season, soars up. Tim Duncan is a MVP candidate. And then next year after that, his second year, he wins NBA title. I mean, you want to make the case that, it was a lockout season, like, you want to ding it, like, put an asterisk over it. I wouldn't go that far. Like, you play who's in front of you, and you make the most of what you can. And Tim Duncan has made the most of what he can. I mean, he's pretty underrated. Like in his 2003 championship when he played against the Nets. I mean, people forget that in his playoff run, it was super similar to how Hakeem went to the finals in 1993 against the Knicks. Hakeem Olajuwon carried that team. Like when you say that, like people are like, oh yeah, like of course, he carried that team. Like it was just a bunch of really good role players. It was Hakeem Olajuwon, Vernon Maxwell, Kenny Smith, Robert Horry, like just like super solid role players, right? Same thing for Tim Duncan. Like Tim Duncan carried the Spurs, and he played against like great competition as well. Like for example, like Tim Duncan, he had a broken down David Robinson. Tony Parker was in his second year as a rookie. Well, not second. He's a sophomore year. Manu Ginobili was a rookie. I mean, his second best player seemed to be like Steven Jackson or something, and no one like mentions like Steven Jackson as like an all-star caliber player or anything. They just go straight to saying, oh, Tony Parker's on that team. Oh, Manu Ginobili's on the team. Obviously they're gonna win. I mean, Tim Duncan went through, the gauntlet. Like it was crazy. He played, I think he played the Phoenix Suns the first round, if I remember correctly. He carried that team. Second round, he played against Shaq and Kobe, and now Shaq and Kobe were trying to get a 4-peat in that time. Like sure, there were arguments like back then, but it wasn't as crazy as it was during the 2004 year, if I remember correctly. And Tim Duncan was super dominant. He was guarding Shaq. He was putting up like 20 and 20. I mean, this dude, Tim Duncan, absolutely killed the Lakers. Like, I remember growing up back then, I was like, dude, this guy Tim Duncan is cheating, man. He's like banging every shot. Like, keeps on using the backboard. Like, that's cheating. Like, but that was me being stupid back then. Thinking like, dude, you need to do whatever it takes to win. And Tim Duncan's no winner. He was very close to being like 6-time champion. Like, not many people like bring it up, but if Ray Allen never makes that shot and Tim Duncan's in the last possession to get the rebound, Tim Duncan would have been 6-0 in the finals, and he would have won MVP in 2013. Like, that was how good Tim Duncan played in that final series. And if he was a 6-time champion, like, for my ranking personally, I would have placed him above Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Like, he would be top 4, in my opinion. Because, I mean, just going overall, like, Tim Duncan gives you everything. He gives you, like, leadership, all the intangibles. He'll play elite defense, elite two-way offense as well. Like, you give him the ball, he'll be able to like put it in the basket. Tim Duncan is just overall like, all-time great, like living legend great. And like, if he won like that for another championship, like for me to say he'll be 6-time championship, I would say that he would win 2013 and 2014. And I mean, a lot of people would look at Tim Duncan in a whole different light right now. Like right now, currently, like Tim Duncan is not seen as like, I feel like a top 10 player, because I feel like he wasn't too flashy enough. Like, people don't really talk about him at all, and you can say that for Tim Duncan in most of his career. Like, he just doesn't talk. Besides, like, laughing and getting ejected by Joey Crawford. Like, I feel like he should be well regarded way more than people give him credit for. Like, if you've watched Tim Duncan and growing up watching him play, like, dude, like he is the real deal. He was giving people, like, even a broken down Tim Duncan in 2013, like when he was playing against the Clippers, like, and this was when DeAndre Jordan was like making a case for Defensive Player of the Year. Like, Tim Duncan was just giving him buckets. Like, he was just scoring on him like it was nothing. And like, it's just all fundamentals for him. He has great fundamentals. Obviously, you know, big fundamental. Tim Duncan. Just crazy. Like, and he should have gotten a quadruple double in the finals against the Nets. Like, they didn't give it to him. Like, the only person I know that got quadruple double is David Robinson, I believe, and maybe Hakeem. But man, like, for him to put a quadruple, like almost quadruple double, who's just one block away from getting it, like in the finals, like, dude, absolutely dominant. Like, the Nets, they traded for Mutombo to like guard against Shaq, basically, because like they were anticipating like the Lakers to come back to the finals, and the Nets were prepping for it. Like, oh, like, we can make another finals run. We're getting Mutombo now. Spurs beat the Lakers. They're like, oh fuck. Like, all right, now we gotta, you know, try something different now. Now, it kind of worked a little bit when they put Mutombo on Duncan. Like, Byron Scott, like, I don't know what he was doing. There's a certain issue of Byron Scott not playing Mutombo enough, if I remember correctly, and that led to like a lot of like people questioning him, like, what the fuck's this guy? You know, what is he doing? Like, now, like, I mean, if you ask me, like, what I think about Byron Scott, I think he's like the worst coach of all time. Like, his record speaks for itself. Like, when people wanted him to coach the Lakers, I was like telling people, like, dude, Byron Scott is such an ass coach. Like, Jason Kidd was responsible for that, like, playoff run to the finals. Like Byron Scott wasn't doing anything. Like, he has like 2 Coach of the Year, right? Like accomplishments, and yet it's so overrated. Like, he had Chris Paul leading the offense, and he had Jason Kidd leading the offense. Like, come on. Like Byron Scott is just a tank commander. That's about it. And there's so much articles criticizing Byron Scott. Like, why aren't you playing Mutombo? Like Tim Duncan is killing you on the block. Like, what are you doing? And I forgot the answer, but it was stupid. It's fucking stupid. But anyways, Tim Duncan, you know, first Ballot Hall of Fame. I feel like, in my opinion, like, there's certain players that have like numbers that it will never be bypassed. Like, you know, Kobe Bryant, like that number 24 should not be worn by anybody. It's kind of like the same thing for like Jordan, like number 23. Don't wear number 23. Kobe, don't wear 24 anymore for any new players. Tim Duncan, don't wear 21 anymore. But, you know, that might be a little too extreme, but, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, congratulations, Tim Duncan. First Ballot Hall of Fame, easy. Can't wait for the speech. It's gonna be. I want to know, like, what's he gonna dress up as? Like right now, like, he's been dressing kind of fresh, like with the dreads and everything. I feel like, I don't know if he's going through like a midlife crisis or something, but like all this new styling on him, like, oh, this kind of feels weird. But, you know, congratulations, Tim Duncan. In a fabulous career. First Ballot Hall of Fame. A legendary player. And, you know, it was great watching you play basketball.
Doesn't like that one either. And another technical foul. And this is when Duncan's out of the game. He's thrown Duncan out of the game.
Rockin' that Christian Dior. I had to marble the floors. I had to cut